The Pathfinder role-playing game, as we know it, has ended. Well, it's not ended per se. You can still play as much Pathfinder 1st Edition as you want, and indeed that is kind of the focus of this video, but official support for the Pathfinder role-playing game 1st Edition is no longer something Paizo is doing, beyond continuing to publish the 1st Edition books. Now, some of you might be staying with Pathfinder 1st Edition as opposed to moving to 2nd Edition, Starfinder, or D&D 5th Edition because you already have all the books and don't want to buy new ones. Or perhaps you're in the middle of a long-running campaign and don't want to swap things around right in the middle. And in fact, just because new books are no longer being produced by Paizo for that particular game doesn't mean your collection of new books can't continue to grow. To get them, you just might have to go to a third-party publisher. Now, I know third-party product has a very bad reputation in certain corners of the tabletop space, but there's a few issues that I think need to be discussed. First, Pathfinder itself is a third-party product. When Dungeons & Dragons was moving from 3.5 to 4th edition, Paizo took the rules from 3.5, made some adjustments and updates, and released it as Pathfinder. And this is the deep, dark secret of the tabletop role-playing game space, a lot of the people who write the Pathfinder third-party material are the same people who wrote the first-party material. I mean, for example, take Owen K.C. Stevens. His name is all over Starfinder, his name is all over many Pathfinder books. He worked at Paizo for years, but when he wasn't working on Paizo stuff, he was running his own third-party company called Rogue Genius Games. And so, if you are hesitant to try out third-party material, or if you're excited to try it out but you need to convince a GM to let you first, this is a list of the top 10 big-name publishers for third-party material for the Pathfinder role-playing game 1st Edition. Now, first off, a few ground rules. Number one, this is going to be big names only. The kind of publishers who, like I mentioned before, either had a hand in writing first-party material or write first-party material for other systems and just do publishing for Pathfinder on the side. But people who you, as someone who may not have ever done third-party material before, can know and trust that they have the credentials to make it work. Second of all, this list is going to be Pathfinder 1st Edition only. Now, a lot of these companies also do stuff for 5th Edition D&D, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Starfinder, and more systems, but we're going to be sticking this exclusively to who has a backlog in Pathfinder 1st Edition product that's worth checking out. Third, I'm not going to be putting myself on this list. If you're new here, I'm the head of Drop Dead Studios. We do third-party material for Pathfinder. I think it's wonderful. If someone else wrote this list and put us on it, I would be flattered. But this is not the list where I toot my own horn. We have other videos on this channel if you want to learn about our Spheres system and some of our other publications. It's wonderful. Check it out. And so, without further ado, here are the top 10 publishers for third-party material for the Pathfinder role-playing game 1st Edition. Number 1, Cobalt Press. Now, it's hard not to start with Cobalt Press. The child of Wolfgang Bauer, Cobalt Press has run, I believe, 15 different successful Kickstarters for Pathfinder product, and they just do really solid work. Best known for Deep Magic, a volume with lots of new spells in it, and the Midgard campaign setting, which is a very imaginative, very well-made, Central to Eastern European mythologically themed campaign setting. Cobalt Press does everything that you already know from having played Pathfinder and just gives you more of it that is really good. Not messing with crazy new systems or things that are going to throw off balance, just more spells, more deep lore, adventures that are always worth checking out. Really, you can't go wrong with Cobalt Press. If you have never done third-party material for Pathfinder and you're not sure where to start, I highly recommend checking out Cobalt Press and seeing just what they can do for your game. Number 2, Legendary Games. Legendary Games is the child of Jason Nelson, and if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because you'll find it all over the core rulebooks for Pathfinder 1st Edition. And indeed, if you go down the list of people who do work for Legendary Games, it's a practical who's who of some of the best writers in the industry. I mean, seriously, even their business manager is Rachel Ventura, whose list of credits is longer than, like, my arm. Legendary Games has an enormous backlog of product, including Pathfinder, Starfinder, 5th edition D&D, Savage Worlds, and more. Legendary Games publications include campaign settings like ArcForge, Athera, Hypercore 2099, which is a kind of Shadowrun-esque reskinning of the Pathfinder rules to just let you do all sorts of new crazy stuff. However, the thing that I think of most when I think of Legendary Games are things like the Legendary Plugins series. Because a lot of the people who write for Legendary Games are also the people who wrote the original rule sets of Pathfinder for Paizo, whenever Paizo put out a expanded rules system, say for an adventure path, something like their relationship systems or their faction rules or the rules for how to run a kingdom, the people at Legendary Games wrote expansions and plugins that take those rule systems and greatly increase what you can do with them. I don't know exactly if this is what happened, but it feels like to me like someone took all the cuttings from the editing room floor from the Pathfinder rules when they were first made and turned them into a new product that expanded out beyond what the page limitations for the adventure path allowed. These rule systems are amazing and include things like Ultimate War, Ultimate Ruler, Ultimate Factions, Ultimate Relationships, each one an expansion of a rule set you may already know from the adventure paths of Paizo, but expanded out so that it can do so much more. If you are an experienced game master or player and just want to do something more with those rule systems that you know and love, you really can't go wrong with Legendary Games, and they are definitely worth checking out. Number 3, Frog God Games. Frog God Games is a company that does a lot of old school feel. Their most iconic product is Rapin Athik, which is a 100-level mega dungeon, one of those campaign settings where you just go down and down one dungeon, and the point is not to see when you reach the end, it's to see how many levels you can survive before the eventual total party kill. A lot of Frog God Games product is half campaign setting and half adventure path. It's designed for that old school sandboxy feel as you go, explore, find missions, find places where you can kill things and get loot, and take it back home. In fact, I believe last time I checked, most of their product was pulled directly from a campaign that had been running for over 3 decades. If you're not into old school sandbox, they also have Razor Coast, which is a pirate-themed setting with a lot of information as well for how to make and run ship combats and ship building and things of that nature. And it's just really good stuff. If you like old school gaming, if you like that death is always possible and sandbox exploration feel, check out Frog God Games. It will be a good addition to the games you're already playing. Number 4, Cobalt Press. Now, when Pathfinder started, it was pulled from the 3.5 rules of Dungeons & Dragons. And while a lot of things could come over, not everything was able to make the jump. They sort of worked, but the numbers weren't quite there. There were a lot of rules and additional systems that had been made for the 3rd edition 3.5 rules that sort of could port over to Pathfinder, but not really well. Numbers had changed and other such things. Enter Cobalt Press. Cobalt Press is most known for taking some of those rule systems that existed in 3.5 and updating them to Pathfinder. This includes porting over the psionic rules from 3rd edition D&D, taking the Magic of Incarnum system and updating it to Akashic Mysteries, and taking the Tome of Battle Book of 9 Swords system and updating it and calling it Path of War. Now, Cobalt Press's game systems, because of that, are built on years-long traditions, systems that have been tested and explored, and then became updated to allow you to use them for Pathfinder like you could before with 3.5. These rules are fun and perfect for people that are familiar with Pathfinder, already know all of the classes and the systems from that game, and want to try something new. If you want to make a caster but want to try something completely different, Akashic Mysteries and the Psionic rules are great things to try out. And if you've ever played with marshals and thought, these people don't feel enough like casters, you can take Path of War and suddenly be doing all sorts of crazy stuff with them that completely changes up the way they feel and will be a very fun new experience for your table. If that sounds like something that would be fun for you, check out Cobalt Press. You'll be glad you did. Number 5, Ronin Publishing. Now, it feels weird to put Ronin Publishing on a list of third-party companies because they are the first-party company behind the Dragon Age RPG, the Song of Ice and Fire, aka the Game of Thrones tabletop RPG, Mutants and Masterminds, Blue Rose, and its Age system, which powers a lot of those other games, also has some generic books to allow you to use it and adapt it to whatever your setting needs might be. And indeed, I kind of hesitate to put them on this list also because their Pathfinder offerings are pretty slim. It really only comes down to the Freeport City of Adventure campaign setting, adventures that take place in that setting, and the Advanced Bestiary, which is a book full of templates so that if you are a GM looking to do creative monster creation and exploring new things like that, it's really up your alley. But then again, I also felt like Ronin Publishing is such a powerhouse, it really would be wrong not to include them. Their offerings may be slim, but if I'm including companies that have great track records, award-winning designers on their side, you can't not include Ronin Publishing. So if you are a GM who wants to expand out new templates, or you want to try out a new campaign setting that has a lot of big names behind it, check out Ronin. Number 6, Wright Publishing. Wright Publishing was created by Stephen D. Russell, an Annie Award-winning designer who sadly passed away a few years ago, and our community is much diminished for his loss. Wright Publishing has a lot of good product, including 1001 Spells, which, yes, includes 1001 Spells, and their entire In the Company Of series, which is a series of product that takes huge concepts like playing a true dragon, or playing a vampire, or playing an aberration, and breaks them down into a class-race hybrid that you can play from first level onward that won't break the game. Their stuff is just good. If you want new options, or you ever woke up one morning saying, you know what, next campaign I'm gonna be a white, you can't go wrong with checking out Wright Publishing. Number 7, Adventure a Week. Adventure a Week is definitely a Game Master Aid company. They are a subscription-based service. You can get that subscription for several different systems, of which Pathfinder is only one, and signing up for that service gets you adventures, as well as access to their huge backlog, maps, resources for use with the Fantasy Grounds website, and more. It's a lot of product, a lot of stuff, and if you are a game master who wants help running adventures constantly and wants some of that load taken off of you, you really can't go wrong with Adventure a Week. And if you don't want to do their subscription service, they have product you can buy on its own, including Rise of the Drow and Adventure Path, which is really good, and it's just good stuff. It is definitely worth checking out. If you're a game master and need help making your games pop, or want help with preparation and need someone to help give you some new ideas for adventures, check out Adventure a Week. Number 8, Rogue Genius Games. As previously mentioned, Rogue Genius Games is the child of Owen K.C. Stevens, who has his hand in everything that has ever been done for Pathfinder, ever. I mean, seriously, the guy is on Ronin Publishing, the guy was the design head of Starfinder, the guy runs Rogue Genius Games. I mean, can you save some credits for the rest of us? Please? Rogue Genius Games is an eclectic company. They have all sorts of product ranging from new feats, to new classes, to new spells. They have the Anachronistic Adventure series, which takes Pathfinder rules and adapts them to whatever you want to run with it. And they also handle publishing for certain other imprints and companies, including Everyman Games, the Christina Stiles Presents series, Four Horsemen, and more. If you just want more options, you want to do new things with your characters or with your games, Rogue Genius Games probably has something there that will fit the bill. Number 9, N Publishing. NWorld is a website that does news and a forum that are both really central to a lot that goes on in the tabletop space. N Publishing, then, is the publishing branch of NWorld, and likewise has a lot of good stuff. They produce some magazines that you can get. They also produce just a lot of product, ranging from alternate magic systems to adventure paths to rules for running tourneys and other things and getting some medieval realism into your fantasy game. It's just a lot of stuff. If you know NWorld, or if you just want to check out some good publications, N Publishing has always got your back. It's not a huge catalog, but everything they've got there is pretty solid. Definitely worth a look, definitely worth your time. Now, there's a lot of companies that can make the last spot on this list, and no one would bat an eyelash. John Brazier Enterprises, Total Party Kill Games, Goodman Games, a lot of companies that do a lot of good work. But since I'm trying to gear this list towards people who haven't done third-party material before and are wanting to explore that space, I really didn't think this list could be complete without including Raging Swan Press. Raging Swan Press is a GM aid company, but unlike Adventure a Week, who does adventures, Raging Swan Press does everything they can to just make your job as a game master easier. They have a lot of system-neutral GM advice. They have a lot of dressings and trappings, which are product that lets you add a little bit of life to your descriptions and the places in your setting. They have rules for how to run henchmen and other things like that. And it's just really good quality stuff designed to make a game master's job easier. In fact, Raging Swan Press runs a very successful Patreon. So if you are a game master who wants help, or especially wants some input on what they do so you can tailor it to help fit your own game, it is definitely worth checking out. It's one of the most successful that I've seen in this particular design space. And it's just good product. If you're a game master who needs help, check out Raging Swan Press. Even if you're not a game master who needs help, they just have a lot of good stuff. And that's really it. If there's a company you think should have been on this list that didn't, add it in the comments. I might do a list later with doing some of the smaller companies and some of the, maybe a top 10 best product list or something like that. But either way, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.